The Spanish Announce Table.
It is episode 375 of the Spanish Announce Table. We had AEW Revolution. We've had WWE happen, right? All kinds of stuff. A great AEW Dynamite. We're going to talk about all of this. We are happy you're here with us. If you're with us yet, we are live, simul streaming on the YouTube and Twitter. So please join us there. Use hashtag tweet the table throughout the week. We'll read some right here on the show as we do. But we're here for you. We want to meet. We want to make friends. We need more friends. And listen, I know you're a wrestling fan. I know you don't have enough friends. So join this community. Join the Table Nation. Use the hashtag tweet the tables. Watch the things. Share the videos. Just tweet at us randomly. You know what I mean? Get on the TikTok and follow us there.
All the stuff. All the things, Tim. All the things.
But
it was exciting this week. I tell you what, we have debuts. We have new champions. We have big moments. We have all the fun that happened in this wacky world of pro wrestling. And since a lot of the Tweet the Tables kind of deal with what we were wanting to talk about, and let's be honest, the news wasn't the most groundbreaking, earth-shattering topics to cover. So, we're going to kind of do a blended show tonight.
Yeah, we're just going to kind of wing it a little bit and mostly talk about this Revolution pay-per-view, which, I mean, gosh, when you're ranking them, man, AEW's hit a couple homers here as of late, and this is one of them. And so we're going to talk mostly about that and sprinkle in some WWE talk along the way. But I think one of the biggest things that we would have brought up if we were doing our traditional news format here, Tom, is The Undertaker will not be the only inductee into this year's Hall of Fame, which we'd floated that idea, and I still think they should have taken us up on it. But they're not gonna. But because they did announce that Vader is joining this year's class. And God, I mean, perfect name, but also one where I'm like, man, I know you don't typically like to do a headliner posthumously, but man, he's a headlining name, right?
Yeah, the only thing that I think about is how they just didn't take advantage of it while he was alive, right? It feels somewhat hollow. Now, maybe I'm going down a rabbit hole that I have misinformation on, but I feel like I remember there may have been some hard feelings between the two, between Vader and WWE. I know that he appeared once later on in his career, like when he beat up Coach, I think, in a random, like, old school Raw, but it didn't feel like they really pushed him as one of the, like, legends of WWE or even pro wrestling. And so I just thought the entire time, like, man, couldn't have done that when he was alive, right? There's some guys that I know WWE doesn't have the greatest working relationship with that maybe should be in the Hall of Fame or in their Hall of Fame. And maybe he falls into that category, but I would have loved to hear what he had to say if he was alive to accept this honor. So, but yeah, to your point, yeah, Vader, 1990s wrestling across the board, right? WCW, his wars with Ric Flair and Sting, and then coming to WWE and his matches with Mankind and Undertaker and Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. I mean, he's a name that goes across all of the companies throughout the 90s, even going out to where he made his name in New Japan, or excuse me, I think it was, it was in New Japan, being a monster with Bam Bam Bigelow and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, well-deserved, but again, just wish he was alive to accept it.
An institution you forgot to name, along with the New Japans, the WCWs, the WWEs, all that. And I'm shocked, Tom, that you forgot to mention this institution, and that is Boy Meets World.
Oh, yes. He was what's-his-name's father. Yeah. Corey,
what a perfect pick of a wrestler, by the way, to be that guy's father.
Well, yeah, because, kind of looks like him. And then also, with Vader being a wrestler, it's not like a generic wrestler because, let's just say they picked Bret Hart. Bret Hart kind of just looks like any other person if he's not in his wrestling gear. Vader looks like someone who maybe either plays football or is a pro wrestler. You put the mask on him and he's good to go.
Looks kind of stabby.
Yeah. Yeah, he fit the part for the Boy Meets World. The thing that I remember about the Boy Meets World episodes that had Vader is towards the end of one of the episodes, Corey and Topanga share a kiss inside of the WWF ring, and I think it was a prom that they missed or something like that. That was fun. Yeah, Vader in Boy Meets World, Sean, Topanga, Corey, all of those. I loved Boy Meets World. Love it, love it, love it. Topanga was one of my first crushes. Technically, it was Kelly Kapowski was first, but Topanga was a close second, kind of overtook her, as more episodes.
Might still hold one of those titles today with you. You know what I mean?
I know, and she's a big fan. She likes the pro wrestling, likes Leo Rush for some
prominent
reason.
Listener of the Spanish Announce Table, I'm sure. You know what I mean? We haven't asked her directly, but I mean, come on, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, Vader. Vader was a staple of my childhood.
We need a hashtag tweet the table from Danielle. It's official, right? Is that her? Like that?
I interviewed her.
Yeah.
You know, I've interviewed her.
Yeah, you did tell me this.
I interviewed her in high school when she was a part of a National Lampoon's movie on the phone. That was fun.
So dial up that whole Rolodex, man.
I might, see, get my old flip phone from high school and see if I still got the number.
Doing a wrestling show.
Yeah. Hey, if Sabrina the Teenage Witch is doing podcasts with wrestlers, why can't Topanga? You know what I mean?
I do.
We're getting off topic here.
Yeah,
Vader was well deserved as far
Vader,
as
Hall of
being
Fame.
Hall of Fame.
That's great. So now there's going to be more names. I think we've said that. I still think if I'm urging them, I'm capping them at like, you get your headliner, you get a posthumous person, maybe you get a tag team. You know what I mean? Like somewhere in there is a lady, right, or two. Or you know what I mean, and then you have a celebrity wing, and you might be out, man. You know what I mean, like
Here,
5.
fill it out then, Tim.
Right.
Let's fill it out. So we got.
I don't even
Taker,
know about who's left.
Vader.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like they already did everybody that I remember from my life. You know, Jazz was a name I've heard that you know what I mean is not in the WWE Hall of Fame, and had arguably, I mean, it's had a longer career than most that might make it there. So, gosh,
who would I put in? All right, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing Undertaker as the headliner because it's already been given. Vader as the co-main event, but obviously because he passed posthumous. I'm doing Cyndi Lauper for my celebrity because if she doesn't do, if they don't do rock and wrestling, and I don't know, I'm not back checking, but I feel like I've never seen her. She goes in.
That feels like that's such an easy one that maybe she has turned it down. Right? Because certainly...
Or she did it and I forgot because it was like a part of 15 other people.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Or there's some sort of issue that we're not unaware of that they don't have a good working relationship anymore. Because she did come and do the thing, the Raw 1000 or whatever the hell. What did she do?
Yeah, that one. Hey, I'm putting in Sable. That's who I'm putting in.
Sable is a good choice.
I'm putting in Sable.
Yep.
And then...
What's a tag team?
To kick it off... Yeah, the tag team that I'm going to put in. Man, so I would love it if they did it, but I don't think they're going to do it. But I'd put in the Steiner brothers. Yeah. You got fucking Braun Breaker. Have Braun Breaker induct him into the Hall of Fame. Say, Scott, look, Triple H has a heart attack. He's out of here. Or whatever, the heart issue, he's not going to be here tonight. Because apparently the whole thing that from the dirt sheets is that Scott Steiner doesn't like the WWE, but he hates Triple H. So just say hey, he won't be here, so you have nothing to worry about. But you do Braun Breaker walks out, inducts his father and his uncle. Then you go to Sable. Then you go to Cyndi Lauper. Then you go to Vader. Then you go to Undertaker. That's it, right there. Boom, gotcha.
Love it. Great.
Yeah.
Use hashtag tweet the table and tell us who you would add to this year's WWE Hall of Fame class. We want to hear what you have to say. You can also join us live while we're doing the live streams. You can tweet at us. You can chat in the YouTube chat, of course. But we want to hear what you got. And speaking of tweet the table, I'm going to bring these up now, as we said. Right? This is the fun, interactive part of this community that you need to be a part of. You talking to you right now, looking at your phone screen, taking shit, whatever you're doing, avoiding work most likely. Be our friends. We're avoiding work also. We want to talk.
Well, and here's the thing. Tim does such an amazing job of putting together these background images. Look at tonight's background image right here. Am I pointing at the right one? Yeah, look at that.
You got the kiss going on, and then I'll put you up there. You've got a shocked William Regal looking at you, which I don't know what he's looking at over your shoulder, but he seems to be amused by it.
He's looking at something, right. But, I mean, are you getting that anywhere else? Huh? I don't think you are. So just for that alone, you need to be watching the YouTube stream and checking that out. And then, again, obviously, if you're driving around town doing whatever you need to do, put us on your favorite podcast platform.
Put us in your ear holes.
Yeah. And with that being said, let's get into it, Tim. What are we talking about tonight?
I got to write down, put us in your ear holes in case that's an episode title. Might have already been.
Yeah, why not?
Been
Double
doing
it
this for
up.
a while. We've been doing this for a while.
Double it up.
All right, hashtag tweet table. The first one is also a WWE one, so we can knock this out of the way. And it's somewhat of a big story, if I'm being honest. But it's weird because it's WWE. It's coming out weird. At Katie First, a lady says, I honestly never thought that Austin was going to have a full-blown match, and this was the best we were going to get. Having said that, what are the chances of having all the other Texas legends show up and beat Kevin just for the hell of it? And yes, that includes Taker.
I hate this.
Mm-hmm.
I hate all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, Katie, love the idea. They already did it. Remember when New Day and the League of Nations got beat up by Shawn Michaels and Mick Foley and Stonecold Steve Austin? They kind of already did it. Yes, throw in JBL and Booker T and Undertaker, fine. But, like, it's the same song and dance. So, they'll probably do it. Also, like, we don't, no one knows what we're doing because sometimes we're saying it's a match, sometimes we're saying it's a segment, sometimes we're saying it's a talk show, sometimes Steve Austin saying he's putting his boots on. So, like, you can't even book what you're doing. So why do I care? Again, Stone Cold's great. I like what he says. Kevin Owens, if it's a promo segment, is going to give the money performance that he always does. So from just a segment perspective, whatever they do, it's going to be fine. But that they can't even decide it going into WrestleMania, which is 6 weeks away, 5 weeks away, wherever we're at. Like, how bad are you? How bad are you at just storytelling? Because now you can't even write the stories coherent. It's just an embarrassment. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, why are you doing that to him? And Kevin Owens. It's insulting.
Yeah, well, it's been so long since Steve Austin has been around that I didn't consider ever thinking like, man, I really wish I could see him wrestle one more time. He's been gone for like as long as he was around, hasn't he?
Well, like, I wouldn't mind one more Stone Cold match, right? Especially if you say he goes out on top. Because again, his last match was at WrestleMania 19 where he lost to The Rock and he kind of wasn't in the best health. So he was limping into it. If you look at him now, he's in a way better physical condition. He is obviously older too, but I think if you gave him enough time to prepare, he could give you a good 9 to 10 minute match where you'd be like, yep, we got all our shit in, we got a stunner, we got a beer bash, and we're on to the next thing, right? Like, I would love that. But it just feels as if no one knows what's happening. And it's also like, this is just so telling of what the WWE wants to happen, and regardless of what anyone else wants to say, they're just going to push this, whatever it is, down your throat. So it's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Don't care about the details. Just know that it's Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania. But then you take a step back and you're like, well, what is it? Because Stone Cold is saying, last time I was in the ring, I lost to The Rock, and that haunts me, and I want my revenge. And Kevin Owens, you're talking shit on the state of Texas, so I'm going to avenge all that shit, But then it's a KO segment, and so none of it makes sense. I just don't get it.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I think they keep getting close to the edge of the idea of what you should be doing with Kevin Owens is what you did with Steve Austin, being the everyman's hero, because it seems like every time he gets a minute of that kind of time on the mic, the crowd is like, fuck yeah, and he's feeling it, and then we take a left turn really fast. It's not a slow like, oh, well, we need to pivot because we're out of faces and we need a heel or whatever. It's always like, in the middle of one show, after he cut that face promo, he then like kicks a guy in the balls, and now we're supposed to boo him. And so, like, the idea of like him going up against Austin is like, we don't want that. We don't want like two guys playing the same role. One of them has to be the villain. And it's just, and then like, I really don't want you to have like, I mean, honestly, maybe it was maybe better if Austin's like, nah, man, that ain't you, kid. And he comes in as the bad guy trying to stop that, right? But like, they're going to give us none of that. It's about Texas.
That's the thing.
It's about Texas. Man, if your live event tickets are hurting, man, I hope this works for you. Because like nobody up here in Kansas, which is pretty fucking close to Texas, gives a shit.
Yeah.
Fuck Texas. I mean, like honestly,
yeah.
is the sentiment we normally have around here. So now we're more like, yeah, Kevin Owens.
Yeah,
fucking
exactly.
Put that live into Texas.
Yeah, it makes zero sense of what the story is, but again, it's just telling of what they're doing because they don't even know. They just know that the end goal is Steve Austin at WrestleMania. But again, the talk segment they've even done at WrestleMania. Remember WrestleMania 21 where Carlito has his little talk show segment and Rowdy Piper comes out? Or no, Rowdy Piper has his talk show segment. Carlito comes out. Stone Cold comes out. Stone Cold does the stunners.
Didn't the Miz get beat up by all the legends before too?
Yeah. And so it's like, you guys aren't even coming up with original ideas. That's why you guys are an embarrassment to entertainment. Like, you guys are the pimple on the asshole that is entertainment. You guys suck so bad at doing this, and yet people still pay attention to you. You guys are abysmal. Oh my God. It's
pimple
the worst.
On the asshole.
Of entertainment. That's what they are.
I mean, that's pretty, yeah, nobody likes that.
No one.
You're not even finding anybody that's got those like weird fetishes. Nobody's got the pimple on the asshole fetish.
But it's noteworthy, right? If you're like, God damn, someone's got a pimple on their asshole.
Maybe that one
like
guy.
someone would know about it. And that's kind of how WWE is. They kind of know about it.
Well, then we'll pivot away from WWE and we're going to talk about AEW. Now, sidebar, we're kind of going to talk about AEW. Now, please stay tuned. We're going to do, right after this, we're going to do our Revolution breakdown. We're going to follow that up with some stuff about Dynamite, right? Kind of go over everything that's happened in something that honestly was way better than what Mania is going to be. And
each and every week
in AEW Revolution. But about AEW, Devil Vamp has a question.
Okay.
He says, why do we care about an ROH buy? Honestly, not kidding. Hashtag tweet the table. So why should we care about AEW buying Ring of Honor? For me, man, it's that, like, we've said this a bunch. I want the number 3 because I want the number 1 to have even increasing more pressure, as far as companies, because they suck. And I don't like the people and the company and the product sucks. And so even more, I'll completely stop watching it. And hopefully there's places for people to go. And I think that's what Tony Khan provides in owning something like an ROH, if he does it right. Now, if he just uses it, like you said, as a performance center and doesn't plow a whole lot of money into it, but if he put some level of the energy that he puts towards AEW into ROH, let's get a little more lighting, let's get a little more consistent storytelling. And man, there's now 2 major options for people to say, like, fuck this, I don't have to deal with these people. They're not the only place with money. And then they either have to change or they go away. And so I for my reasons, I think that's awesome. And then just that, like, people are going to have a place to work being owned by a guy who has the connections, can get stuff to places on TV and the exposure that they need.
I like it for the reason of, this rumor that I keep seeing across my Twitter timeline that AEW goes to HBO Max. Well, how much hours of content does Ring of Honor give you, right? And then also on top of that, now we can tell stories where we don't have to, wink and nod that Adam Cole and Hangman Adam Page used to have a history, right? We can just show you it was in Ring of Honor and this is what they did. So it's adding a little bit more coherent storytelling to things that they consistently just do a little wink and nudge to, like, hey, you guys remember when Cody and the Young Bucks were in Ring of Honor being bad guys, huh? No, now we can just do it. The Hardys, right, are back together, but now in AEW. They had an amazing match the night before the Hardys debuted in WWE at Ring of Honor, where they took on the Young Bucks. Now we can show that footage. So then that can be a new feud in AEW. So it doesn't have to be all of these, like, pseudo kind of things. And then on top of that, if they go to HBO Max, which again is the big rumor, well, now I, as an AEW fan, can inform my ass on what these people were doing in Ring of Honor, right? Now maybe I understand why they call him Hangman instead of it just being a cool name. He actually used to hang motherfuckers from the ring. Okay, now I know. You know what I mean? So I like it for all of those reasons.
Yeah. So join in on the conversation with Devil Vamp and use hashtag TweetTable and tell us why you think this ROH buy is something to care about or not, either or, right? We'd like to hear what you have to say about it, and we'll read them right here next week. But the rest of the Tweet the Tables we're going to read throughout the rest of the night because we're just itching to talk about it. It was AEW Revolution, and what a show. Man, the intensity, the crowd was ready for this. The performers delivered. It was go, go, go all night from the kickoff show to the end of the show. People were ready and primed, and this was a celebration of wrestling, of the wrestling universe.
Can I give one quick criticism, though, before we go into our Love Fest?
Yeah.
And I said this on our Twitter page, @TableShow. The matches can be a little bit tighter. I'm all for an epic kick out, all the stuff, and, the big spots and all of that. However, if every match is 20 minutes, then your main event doesn't feel as special as the other matches. So, honestly, what was refreshing to me, and I know we'll get to it in just a moment, but just off the top, what was refreshing to me is that Jade Cargill and Tay Conti went 8 minutes or, whatever it was. Like, it was an in and out. We got our stuff in. We got out. We got a winner. We're moving on. Some of those matches could have done that. The 6-man tag where, again, the spot of the night was Sting at 62 years old going through 6 tables. But, we could have tightened that up, too. You know what I mean? So... And I'm looking at you, Young Bucks.
Oh, I agree.
All your matches seem to go 2 hours, it feels like. So maybe just tighten that shit up just a little bit. But I loved it. I loved this pay-per-view. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I agree with you, though, on the tightening up of things. And I know, we all like to shit on the guy Cornette, when he talks crap on it. But some of the things he's not wrong about is that when he's like, yeah, and then in the match, they do this weird triple whirly jump off the top rope, even though they did a very similar thing to that, four moves ago to the other guy. And he was down for 20 minutes then, but this guy's only down for 5. Those inconsistencies are there with this style of wrestling. I think it's one of the things that we've always lamented turns us off. It's not just that it's hold my hand while I jump to the top rope, and you wouldn't be standing there like that looking up at me holding your hand while I bounce my ass off the top rope and spin back into a Pele kick to you. You would just fucking yank your hand and get out of the way.
Yeah.
Hey man, that stuff's not, I'm not wrong when I say that. You may it may not bother you as much as me, but I'm not wrong when I say that. And I think that's what leads to a lot of some of this. Everybody's got to get their shit in, but each of your shit takes a fucking setup of 1.5 minutes for a 5-second delivery.
Well, even on top of that, the thing that I think would be interesting from a fan perspective is, when the match starts and they start to do their things, I know personally when it was, Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. And again, I like that match a lot, but I knew once they started, 2 to 3 minutes in, I could leave and go to the kitchen, refill my drink, maybe grab a late night snack, use the bathroom, and come back, and I know that the match won't be over, right? I may miss the big lariat from Moxley, but it'll be on Twitter in 2 minutes. But I know that I'm not going to miss the big result because this is going to go 8, 9, 10 more minutes. So that's the thing is for all the warts and pimples, I don't know why I'm stuck on this pimple thing, maybe because it's on my chin. But for all the warts and pimples that the Goldberg-Lesnar feud was, their match at WrestleMania the second time around was a 5-minute sprint where you just kept on saying damn, are we almost done? And then it was, and then you're like, well, that's memorable. That's different. And that's all I think from a fan's perspective we could add into AEW to where Eddie Kingston, his last 2 pay-per-view matches, starts with these big moments, but end it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
when he does a spinning back fist to Punk at the last pay-per-view, I know it's CM Punk and everything like that, but have him win a match that way where it's just the spinning back fist. It's over. Oh my God, what the hell was I doing leaving the room to get a drink? I should have been watching this program. That's what I would say they need to start doing a little bit more of.
Yeah. Yeah, I will agree with that. Now, let's just go through the card, right? So AEW Revolution is there. I think this is one of, in recent memory, one of the best things I've seen as far as the wrestling pay-per-view.
But isn't it awesome? Because it feels like we say that every time.
Yeah.
It feels like we say that every time.
Now, I mean, this one really, they knocked it out of the park quite a bit too. And I, like, especially when it's so close to Mania, as we've referenced, like, man, seeing this alternative, it's a no-brainer for me. And I'm shocked that anybody like puts up a fight about it.
Yeah, don't get it.
Really doesn't make any sense. But the kickoff show, we start with Leila Hirsch and Chris Statlander. And what'd you think here? I think we understood, like, we've got two athletes, right, that can go. Not a whole lot of build-up, a weird build-up, so we weren't like, oh, man, I really hope Leila gets punched in the mouth, right?
Right, but this is where I think the switch-up of match times would have helped. We didn't need to have Leila Hirsch have Chris Statlander in some kind of modified armbar. We didn't need to have Statlander, working over a chin lock, kind of things like that. Just get to it. Like, we knew that we were moving on after this. I mean, internally speaking. So from my perspective, let's get it in and out. Oh shit. Make me feel stupid for missing your finish. That's how I think you should treat the fan, to where it's like, who thinks, you can't, it's not always going 20 minutes. Watch this shit. And you're like, oh damn, I missed it. So this kind of format would have benefited this match. With that being said, Leila Hirsch with the old crowbar to the noggin of Statlander, thought it was fine.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like some of this may continue with Red Velvet was kind of on her case and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, no, we'll get to that later. But yeah, and on Dynamite, Leila Hirsch was in action again.
Yeah. So another one that even, I think it was still quicker than most of the matches, but I still think they could have tightened this one up and made it a little more quicker. And it was Hook versus Cutie Marshall, right? Like, I wouldn't have gave Cutie much of any offense, right? I would have gone quicker with Hook. And I want to read this real quick. So I'm reading the results off of CBSSports.com here, right? Because they list it out and they give a brief synopsis of every match. But their final sentence for the match reads, "Nothing special other than everything with Hook feeling kind of special." Right?
I mean, facts.
That's so
right?
great.
That's
so good.
I would say with Cutie, the offense was okay just because Hook beat him, right? And Hook got his shit
everybody
in.
should have a puncher's chance in the wrestling ring too, right?
Well, but again, knowing what we know now, seeing that Cutie Marshall on Friday night is going to have a match with Keith Lee, it would be completely fucking stupid if he got 0 moves in on the 180-pound badass, but then he goes against the monster Keith Lee and just goes like, well, here you go. I got a drop kick and all this stuff. It's like, well, wait a minute. Just have Hook beat Keith Lee then, if that's the case. So the offense, knowing what we know now, I think was okay. But Hook's great, right? Hook's great. And it was a cool moment to have him beat the teacher, which wasn't really his teacher because he's still Team Taz and all that. The thing that I want more of Hook to do is, we fell in love with this guy when he was handing out chips to Dante Martin in the background with Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. But since he started wrestling, Taz is, over the moon for his son to win these matches. But I'm not seeing Hook anymore with Powerhouse Hobbs or Ricky Starks. They had this beef with Keith Lee. Where's Hook? I need Hook to be back in Team Taz. But it seems like he's this entity now that's like by himself, which is fine, but that's not what the story is.
Yeah, but I still think you could get, like, I mean, it's not even different. Like, it's the same demeanor when he's going to the ring and walking the ring. We also need to see him out of the ring now. We are only seeing him, as you said, in these matches where that is cool. And that is what, you know what I mean? I think it all, like, we were all ready for it, but part of the reason we were ready for it and part of the reason it's taking off is because we were clamoring for it. Everybody was saying, we want Hook. Like, you know what I mean? That's why CM Punk said send Hook, because he's in tune with what the crowd wants.
Right. And so, now it just feels like you're presenting him as this, one-man army who's going to take out the world, which is fine. He's in tune with what the crowd wants. Because you say he's Team Taz. But now Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks are getting into beefs with Keith Lee and, still Dante Martin to a certain extent. And now there's no more Hook. And it's like, well, wait a minute. No, we want the hood on and we want him with chips, not talking to people, but around people. Yeah. So that's all. I love it. Hook. All
right, sorry to anyone listening. I had a little bit of a feedback audio there for quick seconds, but you got the gist of what Tom was saying, that it's fucking Hook.
Hook.
It's Hook. All right, we're going to move on. House of Black versus Death Triangle, and we have a hashtag tweet the table about this one, so let's bring it in. It's from @DevilVamp. He says, "Is it me, or has Pac fallen down the card quite a bit?" Hashtag tweet the table. And yeah, I mean, Pac has fallen down the card a little bit.
No, he hasn't.
Well, this is where he always was, right? Yeah.
Yeah. When was Pac ever challenging for the championship?
I also am not asking for that. I guess some people are, but Pac's another one of those where I'm always like, in theory, everybody's like, Pac's great. And I'm like, yeah, he can do some things, but like, I don't think he's like, when you line everybody up and you're like, here's all the storytellers, here's all the thing, I'm not like, Pac just isn't in the top 10 for me that they've got in AEW, I think.
But the storyline is very interesting, right? This House of Black versus Death Triangle thing.
That's what I think. He tells great stories. I would keep him on the card and use his talents to do all that. But like, I'm not like, I need Pac taking on Kenny Omega for the world title, or it's a fraud, right? Like, and that's the feel I get from people when they're like, Pac, and I'm like, yeah, Pac, right? Like, but he's not. He's not the new Rock.
No, but the ultimate boss, it feels like, at this trajectory for Hook is Pac, right? Like, they're the same kind of person. It needs to be the battle of the bastards. Like, that's how it should be.
All right, so if there's a promo battle between them,
there's
Pac's
not a word
going to say
said.
all his, like, vitriol, his near dark stuff, and Hook's just going to be like, almost Orange Cassidy, like, yeah, whatever, dude. You know what I mean? Like, just nothing. And it's going to piss Pac off so bad. Oh, that would be great. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah. I would love to see that.
I would think you would just have him do a stare down in the backstage during an interview segment, and that's the whole match. They do it once, 3 weeks later, it's on the pay-per-view. Why? Yeah. Did you see that fucking stare down? They still hate each other from that. That's what I would do. Yeah. But going back to this
match. Yeah, this match, I feel like this match was fine. And it was good, and it had all kinds of good spots. I feel like I got the same feel from this that I used to get from the Usos, Harper and Rowan, and New Day back in the day, where like, yeah, we could throw this up on every card, and we know, like, everybody's going to ooh and ah their pants off at some of the stuff they do. But when we look back, we're going to be like, shit, they did the same thing 9 times.
I feel like this should have been the 6-man tag on the pay-per-view, and the 6-man tag that was on the pay-per-view should have been on the pre-show.
Well, you're not wrong about that. Yeah, you're not wrong about that. But I think would have felt this way about this match, right? Like, yeah, but I think you're right. Like, this had a little bit more storyline that made sense.
Yeah, and there was this intrigue of what was Eric Redbeard going to do? How was he going to incorporate into this death triangle?
About it. Yeah, I forgot about the Redbeard. Yep.
Right. And then how is Brody King, who was always the biggest man on campus in this feud, how is he going to, adjust to having a guy bigger in the match against him? So I thought this, from a storyline perspective, I was way into this, way more than the 6-man tag with Sting and Darby and Sammy and all of that. And I think you would have got more mileage out of the Sting spot if you do it before the show, to go like, holy shit, what can we expect now on the pay-per-view? And then you go into it, because I thought they needed a couple more rest spots in the pay-per-view. And even though this was a good storyline, I would have put that there to give the crowd a little bit of like, hey, it's fun, but like, who cares who wins, right? I mean, to a certain extent, right? So, very fun match though. I really liked it. It was great for me. And I hope they keep it going. House of Black takes over.
Yeah. Oh, I'm loving the House of Black stuff. I mean, Murphy was a weird, surprise for me. I didn't think he fit, but now he's in black clothes and he's talking sinister, and it works.
Ooh, I'm going to put a pin on it right now, but I got a great idea, I think, for House of Black in their next feud. We'll get to it.
It's a reason to keep tuning in. Yeah, it's a reason to keep.
Come on.
To stay with us right here on the Spanish Announce Table. Pro Wrestling's best podcast, right? I mean, we're
undoubtedly.
It's undoubted. Yeah, it's indisputed, reigning, defending, all that shit. All right, Tom. Then the real card, right? The opening bout of Revolution. Chris Jericho, Eddie Kingston, and fast forward, Eddie Kingston gets this victory.
Oh, as he should. Yeah. Because that's the thing, is we can always get behind Eddie, but there is a point to where he has to win some matches, And let's just fast forward this one to Dynamite because that's where really the fallout happened. So Eddie Kingston gets a weird submission. I've never seen that submission before. The like neck crank arm shoulder thing, whatever that was called. Fine, but it was different. Eddie gets the win, goes for the handshake. Jericho says, nah, can't do it. Then we fast forward to Dynamite. We kick off Dynamite with Chris Jericho. He overacts the like, Eddie, I need to shake your hand. Shakes the hand.
Looking like
2.0.
Looking like your aunt going to a rock concert, by the way. Like,
oh my goodness. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, but let's get into this Dynamite segment a little bit.
Yeah,
then we'll get back to the Revolution.
Well,
so they do the handshake, right? And they're like, all right, good. Eddie cuts a great promo saying, like, I respect you. I did want to quit, but the people that loved my Players Tribune article
except for the fucker
out.
chanting what?
I know. God,
Great
can
recovery,
we stop it too? Yeah.
I love that. He was like, come on,
one.
man, have some respect here, bro.
And also, like, Stone Cold's not here. Like, stop. That's
He's
his
like,
thing.
I get it,
You're
bro.
gonna do
Like, come on, but for real, like, give me some respect here.
So Eddie cuts his great promo, his side of it. And Jericho, what he said was good. It was just the acting was a little bit bad. But then they shake hands. And then out of the blue, 2.0 and Daniel Garcia come out. And they start brawling. But they, like, barely touch Jericho. And Jericho's like, my neck, my neck, my neck. That brings out Santana and Ortiz. And then Jericho turns on Santana and Ortiz. He also kind of turns on Eddie Kingston. He's beating them all up.
Boy, he really racked Ortiz too with that bat.
Yeah,
that shit ping, or maybe it was
Yeah.
Santana, I think. But I was like, I was like, you might check his arm. You might.
Well, that's why maybe use a chair next time. I don't know if we need to use bats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the
Like,
bat looks so fake when you're not hitting them real. You know what
well,
I mean?
and also it's just so dangerous. It's
Yeah.
more dangerous than a chair, I think. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's all the forces in that one little tube versus like a wide chair. It's spread out. Yeah. Man. All right. So, so we get the 2.0. We get
then we get Jake Hager.
Then we get
and
Hager.
Jake Hager comes.
The Hager thing where he's like conflicted, but he whatever, right? I get it. He's like, oh man, what are you doing? But like, all right, I'm ride or die Jericho, right? So fuck these guys then, right? If he's like, fucking do it. But Sammy was there, right? Like,
oh yeah, the elephant in the room, Sammy Guevara, who then later that night wears his fucking Inner Circle jacket, just says like, I'm not involved in this one.
So, and before all this popped off, right? And I realized, oh crap, we got Jericho starting a new thing here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is their vests say Inner Circle Original. Motherfucker, like, weren't you all originals? Oh, I guess they did add MJF, huh? Like,
yeah, that's what I think it was. Yeah. And that's when they went to the biker thing, is because when Pinnacle went to the like jet flying kind of
but here's the thing, like,
gimmick.
So now you just have another 5-person thing with Hager and 3 other people. Like, you didn't make a new faction. You just kicked some guys out of the Inner Circle. Like, just call it the Inner Circle and just say these guys are the Inner Circle.
So, couple thoughts on that. One, the real faction out of this that I think is going to happen is the new LAX in AEW with Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz.
Yes.
Fuck yeah. Sign me up. Have them fight every 3-man crew. Have them fight Death Triangle, House of Black, Varsity Block. I don't care. Fight them all. That's the fucking group, right? Second, Jericho Appreciation Society is the new name. Guys.
Well, first of all, that's what the Inner Circle was.
Well, here's the thing. You had the fucking name ready-made for you, and you just got in your own way. It's the Inner Circle 2.0.
Oh.
Fucking Christ, man. Like, how easy is that? Like, that's what it's called.
Yeah, because that's all you did was you just add 2.0. I know you had Daniel Garcia, but he's 2.0, if we're being honest.
But like, it's the second version of the Inner Circle. I mean, right? That kind of wrote itself.
Yeah.
JAS. Fuck that. No one's going to say
like,
that shit.
If we didn't have the Inner Circle and we didn't already like have said like, hey man, a little less is more with you guys. Like, I'm ready for you guys to not be a thing now. That's all this is now. Like, yes, 2.0 can be great and hilarious with Jericho, but we've seen every shtick. We've seen everything. You're just going to run it back, and it's going to, we don't want more of this now. Yeah,
we'll see. I do think there's going to be some fun giggles with 2.0 and Jericho trying to, blend together as a group, right? There's going to be bumping into each other. You may even get the weird, awkward stare down between Hager and Garcia that will be funny,
Yeah.
But yes, to your point, they're not going to do another what was that Manitoba Melee where they all in the pandemic did the phone? Like, there's not going to be a singing segment with MJF and Jericho, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not.
But we get heel Jericho, and the best version of Jericho, if we're still going to have him on TV, is heel Jericho. So
yeah,
at least
you almost had to include Hager, I think, because like Jericho wasn't going to suddenly kick Hager to the curb, right? Hager's the monster. So like you can't explain away Hager, right? So he almost has to be their muscle, right?
Well, can we just explain
away
Hager legit? Yeah. I think I've said this before on the podcast, but of all the AEW guys from the original episode, still to this day, he is the sore thumb in that organization where it's like, what are you doing here? Like, all the initiatives, all the vibe, that is just not him. I just get him out of here, man.
Yeah. Can we find out he was at the insurrection or something and get him out of here?
Oh, probably. I wouldn't be shocked.
I mean, can we, please? All right.
But I just have him fight in Bellator, right? Have him put on an AEW shirt, beat up some more fucking fat guys from Kansas City, and there you go. Just have him do that. Have him be an ambassador in Bellator. Yeah, he beats up all these fat asses around town. Like, just have him keep doing that. Don't have him in the ring. Fucking dumb. You already did your gimmick match with Wardlow. Get out of here.
Put him in the cage fighting forklift drivers. Come on.
Yeah, that's his calling in life. Jesus Christ.
Fighting forklift drivers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to Revolution.
That might be an episode title too. All right. The next match on the card was the AEW Tag Team Championship match featuring the champions Jurassic Express taking on Redragon and the Young Bucks. And, I mean, this match was everything we thought it was going to be, right? This is the flips and shit trio here, right? Well, Redragon's less flips and shit. They're more of the, like, right.
But they're more timing, right? They're more like, hey, you do the suplex, I'll kick him in the head when he comes down. It's a little bit more mat-based, but it's still timing shit, too.
Yeah, right.
My favorite thing about this is that Jurassic Express won. I was really afraid that they were going to be the ones that took the pin, and then we were going to have this inner fighting of like, well, you didn't beat me, and I'm the champion, all this, you know. So it seems like we're not done with Red Wagon and Young Bucks. So fuck out of here. Yeah. But let's get Jurassic Express the focus of the tag team division, and let's see what they can do, kind of being pushed to the forefront of that division.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, and I mean, this match just, I don't know, this is the one where, like you said, right? Like, I knew, like, all right, I can go take a, I can go grab my food, I can heat up the pizza, right? Like that kind of stuff, and just kind of listen, because, this thing's going to go for 25 minutes or whatever the fuck.
Well, and that's the thing. If it was 25 minutes, which I don't know, let's just say it was 20. This could have been 12, right? This is the sprint you could have done with 6 guys to get the same result. And at least for me, I would have been completely fine with the same kind of match. So,
all right. We got 2 tweet the tables about this next match from the same guy, even, but we'll just leave him here. But this was the Face of the Revolution ladder match, right? And the first tweet the table from Mr. Fourth Row says, I've heard about addition by subtraction. But is this more offense by division when Wardlow and Hobbs tore the ladder in half? Hashtag tweet the table. And then his follow-up, maybe he did this one for, I don't know. He says, Orange Cassidy using the big beefy men to try to grab the big brass ring. I love it. Hashtag tweet the table. And man, Orange Cassidy found his spots in this, didn't he?
How does he always do this? Every time there's been a ladder match that he's been involved in, he finds a way to have the spot of the match.
Well, and even times we were kind of like, oh shit, is he going to win this?
Yeah, well, with that spot that Mr. Fourth Row was talking about, where Orange Cassidy has the ladder across his neck and he's just taking guys out, which, look, you could have just sidestepped him, right? That was such a slow thing where people were running into it, kind of looked, but then when Wardlow and Keith Lee grab it and he's like, okay, well, watch this. I'm going to do a pull-up and I'm going to grab it. Thought that was great. He was the star of this match. So many other spots I thought were great. I did like the Keith Lee, Powerhouse Hobbs, Wardlow, we're going to fight, but we don't yet. We're going to fight, but we don't yet. And then they all get taken out on the stage. Well, who was it? It was Keith Lee and Powerhouse Hobbs that got taken out on the stage.
Yeah.
But then Wardlow just recovered, I guess?
Yeah, I forget how it happened, but they tore that ladder apart, which, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you can tell a gimmick that was because it was super easy and they really, like, waited for the moment and all that. But, you know, yeah, sure. That was fun.
So,
like, all right
so what do you think about Wardlow winning the match, though?
Interesting. I didn't think they would have went there because of, you know what I mean, where we go later with Wardlow. And honestly, the Wardlow finally drops MJF, I didn't think was coming this way. I thought it would be much more on-screen conflict.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be more pronounced. Now, again, it was a big moment for the specific match, but I thought it was going to be more of a, almost kind of like how Private Party turned on Matt Hardy on
exactly.
Dynamite. You know what I mean? A little
and
bit
so
like that.
Him winning, I just thought, okay, this is going to lead to that. We're going to see that tomorrow on Dynamite and blah, blah, blah. And so it also led me open to, like, the idea that, like, I thought, okay, maybe MJF doesn't win this match. Maybe Punk wins, because I was thinking MJF was going to win. And I was like, and then he's pissed and he's telling Wardlow, like, no, I told you could keep the, you know what I mean, the whatever, but no, that's mine. I get the brass ring, right? And then now we're getting the, like, listen, dude, like, you couldn't get the job done. I got the job done, right? And then they fight. But, man, they really, yeah, I think they, and maybe part of that is like, hey, you guys weren't expecting it, right? Like, you guys were expecting the big thing. And so when he came out here, you thought this is more just to set it up, but surprise, it's the moment. So maybe that was it.
So let's fast forward a little bit into Dynamite, where the main event was Sammy Guevara versus Scorpio Sky for the TNT Championship. Scorpio Sky is now your new TNT champion, but the wrench in the plans for however we're going to do this is next week, Wardlow, because he won the ladder match and got the Cheerio off of the apparatus, he is now going to face Scorpio Sky for the TNT Championship. What do you do there? Like, is this where just MJF?
Well, I'll tell you what I do.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I have Wardlow beat Scorpio Sky for that title, because can I talk about Scorpio Sky for a second? Guys, I know everybody wants him to be a thing, but he's not coming across for a reason, right? Like, it's not happening. The Scorpio Sky thing just isn't going to happen, at least like in this current form. No.
Oh, I think he's fine. I think this is a perfect spot for him.
But, like, they really want him to be, like, the next big thing, and he's just not going to.
Well, but here's the thing. He can be the next big thing by proxy, because Dan Lambert is going to be the one that gets him in all the storylines. He can do the wrestling, right? He's a very competent wrestler.
I feel like he's, well, you know, I never say never. He's young, right? He could have 20, 30 years ahead of him.
I don't think he is.
Ring. Oh, really?
I think he's like 36.
Oh,
yeah, I think he's our age. Yeah. I think he's older. Let me fact check.
Remember
just for a quick second.
Early AJ Styles, when I said, like, it's all the head shakes and the here's what I'm supposed to sound like, a cocky guy, right? And you're like, this isn't real. You know what I mean? Like, that's the feel I get. How old is he?
He's 38.
Yeesh. So yeah, man. You see what I mean? Like, it's just, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like the realness, right? The like ability to, you know, suspend my disbelief just isn't there when I watch Scorpio Sky.
See, I'm interested in him as a TNT champion because I think Dan Lambert will be really fun in the mid.
Yeah, but we know Dan Lambert will be fun.
And so he can't wrestle, so we need someone. So Scorpio Sky's fine, right? Like,
maybe you can.
And again,
let's get him in some tights. Let's get him in a one piece.
And also, again, just because I think it is important because representation matters. Look at now who is the TNT and TBS champion. It is both African Americans in Scorpio Sky and Jade Cargill. So that's great, right? And that's what I'm talking about. That could be a moment where you say, like, hey, we have a good representation of, you know, our fan base and things that we're trying to accomplish. But not if Wardlow just kills him next week.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that the way to get out of this is MJF cost Wardlow. It also feeds Dan Lambert and Scorpio Sky to be like, we beat the fucking up-and-comer Wardlow. And, you know what I mean? And Wardlow's too pissed about the MJF thing to give a shit. Be like, I'll get to you later. I've got a bigger prize now. You know, and then we can just kind of conveniently forget about it. But Wardlow wins this ladder match. He's the face of the Revolution.
Mm-hmm. And going back to the Dynamite main event with Scorpio Sky and Sammy Guevara just for a minute, and this even ties into a little bit later with that 6-man tag. For me, Sammy Guevara is not a pillar of AEW.
Yeah.
He is not someone On paper and in a picture, he has it all. But this whole like, I'm loco. Get it, guys? I'm loco. He's a nerd. I don't still holding the 2 titles. I don't know what the fuck that's about.
Now, Scorpio Sky should do that, right? The heel move is like, I've got the 2 titles, right?
I got both your titles.
Right,
like,
yeah.
That was only actually one of them. Yeah,
like, look at this. It's so good they needed to give me 2 belts.
Or you have Dan Lambert hold both titles. Have him get the heat, and, he holds it. Yeah. But Sammy Guevara.
Or just he's always wearing one. Like he's wearing the other one at all times.
Right. Yeah.
And then so even when somebody wins it, like he's still walking around with that thing.
Man, that's a great idea. Yeah. But for me, though, Sammy Guevara has been given, it feels like, 100 different opportunities with inner circle spots, TNT championship reigns. And he has the good, 680 splash, whatever the fuck it was called, through the table, and that was cool. But like, I don't find him charismatic. I don't think he can really cut a good promo. I think he's super corny with Tay Conti. Like, that just feels like they dry hump because they don't know what else to do. Like, I just don't like him.
Feels like there's a lot of bad missionary going on.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. Let's get this through because I've got to get to level 8 of Worldcraft, whatever the fuck it is.
You're still feeling okay, right? Everything's cool? Everything's good?
I almost feel like he's like, hey, like she's going to like kiss him on the neck or something. And he's like, okay, but I'm like so close to like, I need 3 more kills on Call of Duty. And then we can like, that's what he feels like to me. And I don't fucking like those guys. So I don't like Sammy.
All right. Then he might not even like own a video game console. We're already like,
he does a vlog. He does a vlog. He probably does. Fucking dork.
He said from his YouTube show.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. YouTube.com/Spanish Announce Tube. All right. The AEW team.
We've been doing this longer.
It's okay
than
for
he's been
me.
Doing his vlog. Yeah, we've been doing this for 8 years. Okay,
Yeah.
we were doing it when it
doing
wasn't
before
cool.
it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And to be clear, it's not cool for him. It's cool for us. I mean, really. All right. AEW TBS Championship match. You mentioned her already. Jade Cargill, Tay Conti, even. You mentioned her also. And this was good. I think you're right. Like this, we got in. We got out. We got the kiss spot, which was kind of out of nowhere. Surprised the hell out of Aubrey Edwards. I said that wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But she turns it into a gimmick. So Jade Cargill wins. Again, it was fine. Anna Jay was out there. Jade Cargill takes care of her too. She looks strong. She gets the victory. And then she cuts the promo on Dynamite where she's like, who's next? Because I'll give you the kiss of death. So now she's turning this into like a Mortal Kombat or, evil villain trope of like, before I kill you, I'll kiss you to your grave. Like, that's kind of cool. I kind of like that. I thought it was really neat.
Yeah.
After it was explained. It was kind of, like, what the fuck are we doing right off the bat?
Hope everyone's vaccinated.
Go get after it. So now let's talk about Tay Conti on the other side of Revolution for her. She gets beat up by Paige Van Zant. And then Paige Van Zant signs her contract on Tay Conti's ass. And now Paige Van Zant is in AEW. Guess we were going to do the Brandy Rhodes. We pivot to Tay Conti. Has a little bit more of like a real fight feel because Tay Conti does have a legit background in martial arts.
Let's get a brawl for all.
But
these ladies.
I wouldn't mind.
I wouldn't either.
Would that be actually a good fight?
Yeah. Hey. Book it.
I think I'm taking Paige. Paige has good stand-up, but if it goes to the ground, I think I got Tay.
Yeah, because I mean, there's not a huge size advantage either way.
But here's the thing: who's carrying this feud?
Dan Lambert.
What's Tay Conti gonna say in her defense? Because all she can say is bitch and run up in people's faces. Like,
yeah, we're gonna get Sammy doing the talking and Dan Lambert.
I don't know.
Or did we write Sammy off? Was that injury thing like is he out for a while?
I don't know, but it
was
just
that
doesn't
real?
feel like...
Did he really get fucking hurt there with his?
Oh well, I mean,
that was on Dynamite, right?
Yeah, when he does the spot.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. It just doesn't feel like that has a lot of legs to it, where you're going to get the headlines that Paige Van Zant beats Tay Conti. Like, that's not going to headline a ESPN article. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah, you might get some coverage on MMA filters,
like
but
MMA
they already
junkie.
either do or do not like wrestling, right? They already have an opinion,
exactly.
and you're not getting any new eyes.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, well, the next was a match I think I know they really want to do the titles, the main event, right? Like they really want to stick to that, but this probably right here should have been the match to end it, and it's CM Punk versus MJF dog collar match. Especially
with now how we know it was booked, it would make the Wardlow turn on MJF that much more meaningful if that's what closes the show, you know? And again, I love Hangman. I think Hangman is the best. If I were booking this, knowing the results, I put Hangman first. I put the Hangman Adam Cole match to kick off the show, to where then we give its proper, buzz to it. And then, yes, you close the main event with MJF, CM Punk. And this just had everything, didn't it? I mean, it caused a controversy amongst the dorks that like to pick their nose with, didn't you know that was CM Punk's entrance music from Ring of Honor? Who the fuck cares? Who cares?
Here's what I'll say. I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't either. I actually thought the song was cool.
I figured it out, but I didn't. Right.
I figured it out. Now, I have seen enough CM Punk Ring of Honor footage to where when he came out in the baggy shorts, I was like, oh, must have been like what he came out in Ring of Honor. Now, Excalibur told us that, which credit to him. But here's an even more fun fact for you, Tim. Back in WWE, when it was the summer of Punk, and Punk came back and he came out to Cult of Personality, I didn't fucking know that either. I didn't know that was one of his songs.
Well, and I know part of that is okay, the storyline's been about a nod to the past, and MJF liked CM Punk, but MJF never said, I liked Punk when he was in ROH with that music and that look. I assumed he was talking about early WWE CM Punk, because that's probably who he was talking about. Right,
but that's where the storytelling I thought got very interesting, was right from the entrances, because I felt like MJF was plays the Cult of Personality, fuck that guy, it's all about me. So he thinks he's going to get one up on Punk, so when Punk comes out to Cult of Personality, he's the man. But then Punk is like, I told you I was going to become a monster to fight the monsters of the world. And if you watched any social media leading up to this match after he said that on Friday night, that was a line he used against Raven in Ring of Honor when he wore the baggy shorts and stuff. So it was like he had to go back to that part of his personality to win this match. So I thought all the theater of just the entrances was fantastic. Now, the match was brutal. Can we... Brutal. Look, I like blood. I think it serves its purpose. I felt like they got a little too deep, though, man.
Yeah. So the thing is, I like blood when it does and or appears like it could have happened naturally. These crimson masks every other week from somebody and anybody takes that away from it. It takes away the ability to think this just happened by nature, right? It should happen in the dog collar matches, right? Or the steel cages, or the wherever there's metal, right? But man, we've gotten these in a couple Hangman matches. We've gotten these in a couple, you know what I mean? CM Punk a couple times now.
John Moxley matches.
And it's just the thing is, it's kind of like you're saying, it's hard to anybody else that's wrestling gets the bad rap. And so anybody in your life that kind of is wrestling, the moment they see that, they're like, Jesus Christ, right? Here the fuck this is.
Well, because of how severe the cut was and how early on in the match it happened. It's one thing if, I don't know, name the move, right? It's fill in the blank move, and that cuts CM Punk, or that cuts MJF.
Kansas City cut punt.
Right. And then two moves later, that's the end of the match. But when you cut yourself, or the blood starts happening 7 minutes into the match,
it had time to stop.
Yeah, then it just becomes uncomfortable. We're like,
Yeah.
is he gonna be okay?
Well, yeah, like that here. That's another good point. Like, yes, I don't mind, and at times will enjoy blood in a match. Dried blood in a match is a bit excessive, right? When I see their arm is brown because the blood is all dry.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's had time to coagulate and stop, and now they've got to reopen it to keep the story going, and it feels late Ric Flair, right?
Right. It just feels like, again, blood was fine. It just felt so early that I was like, really, we're just gonna
A lot, though.
shotgun it.
Even if it wasn't early, like it was a lot, man. You guys were sliding on the floor in it.
Mm-hmm. So the match was fun. It had its spots. The dog collar served its purpose in a couple of those spots with the like Mortal Kombat come here and then the whipping of the other guy and all of that stuff. But yes, as we mentioned, the big moment was MJF calls Wardlow to come out. Wardlow walks out. Give me the ring. What? I don't know where it is. CM Punk gets his finisher, I think it was, the go to sleep on him. And then Wardlow's like, oh, I found it.
Oh, it's right here.
It was right here. Here you go. And then just walks off. Perfect theater.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
That's what should have ended the pay-per-view.
That was the biggest story going into this pay-per-view. I mean, in all honesty, it was the biggest story that people were talking about.
Well, and it was the biggest moment, too, because of the Wardlow turn. Right. Because if you, again, knowing what we know now, not to sound like a broken record, but if you were just going to do Hangman wins clean over Adam Cole, well, yay, but that doesn't really leave you saying, I got to watch Dynamite.
So, and pro wrestling forgets this, and we keep trying to say this, like, this is a performance art. This is not a sport. This is performance art. This is a television show telling stories. If you were writing this as a, drama on television, that chunk of the show would be last as the cliffhanger. It would not be yay happy Hangman with that happening earlier. The whole scene, like, first of all, the promos that came out of these guys were all time.
Yep.
Level stuff.
The storyline.
The storyline leading to that promo, and then the infusing of a storyline that had already started before Punk was even around, and they used it as the catalyst to get us there and take us out of it, was all a masterclass in how to do some of the storytelling. It had to be the finale, and they didn't do it. I was a little bummed about that.
Well, and even, again, you had mentioned this isn't sport, but sport has done it plenty of times. You look at Pride fights or Strike Force fights where the championship match is maybe the co-main event, but Fedor is going to be in your main event match because it's Fedor and you're going to tune in to see him, right? Now I want to get
McGregor.
Yeah, well, fuck that guy. Yeah,
well, but I mean, like he would headline something when there was title matches on the show when he wasn't the champ, right?
Yeah. So let's dig into a little bit of like the fun here. So it seems to be, we kind of alluded to, next week MJF will get involved somehow with the Wardlow match and either cost him, or then that will be the feud over the TNT Championship. But what do you do with CM Punk now?
Yeah, I'm not sure what I do with CM Punk, but I do know I can't wait to see how Sean Spears is interjected into the Wardlow MJF stuff.
He is going to take 75 power bombs.
He's becoming one of my favorites each show now, Spears. You're right. He looks like a sociopath.
Yeah, he's the craziest guy in the whole group because this isn't something that he feels he has to do. He loves doing this.
He's the guy, if like, okay, so let's say you were like, hey man, you want to come hang out with me and some of my friends? And I'll be like, which ones? And you'll be like, oh, you never met these guys. I'll be like, I've known you for 8 years. And I'll be like, yeah, these are old friends of mine. And we hang out the night and everything's going okay. But like, you were like, hey, we're all going to run over here real quick, grab some beers or whatever. You guys just hang here. And it's like just me and Sean Spears. I'd be like, can I come with you guys? Like, I need to hit the store. I need to I don't leave me here alone with this guy. Don't.
Yeah, he's scary.
Don't.
He's scary in the sense that he can walk among you and you would never know. But the second you get a conversation with him, now you've got chills up and down your spine and you got to run out of here.
And you could be like, you're that Spears guy, right? Like, he's fucking crazy, right? And other people be like, what are you talking about? That guy's great. He like babysits my grandma when she's sick and I got to go out of town and stuff. And like, he's a wonderful guy, man. What are you talking about? You'd be like, I just saw him kick a kitten. And they'd be like, "You fucking shut your mouth. He would never do anything like that."
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you're like, "What are you doing? That's all he does." See him kicking kittens. All
American
the time.
Psycho.
Mhm.
American Psycho with Christian Bale. That's the vibe he gives off. But again, so CM Punk.
Okay, yeah.
Where are you going with CM Punk?
Man, I don't know.
Do you go
because
title?
See, this is what I kind of got the feeling we weren't going to do that with CM Punk, right? Like, he was going to put in some matches, build some stars, maybe flirt with it, and maybe that's where we go, maybe flirts with it. But, like, this is why I thought MJF was going to win, because I was like, they're going to put the guy at one of the pillars over as, like, he is that damn good. He can throw you down. You know what I mean? Like, even if they use Wardlow, I just thought that's where they were going to go. So, yeah, we've got a face champion, so I don't know that we go there unless it's just that, like, you and me, buddy. But, man, I feel like we need to get away with that with Hangman. Like, there's too much of that with Hangman, even though he's just had a heel feud, you know what I mean? Like, a heel feud. Like, I feel like we're not getting enough substance out of Hangman. That wouldn't be it for me. So, what would you do with CM Punk?
Well, I think the next feud that people, if you were going to write down, hey, CM Punk is coming to AEW, some of the things you're going to write most likely was going to be Darby Allin, right? Because the parallels are right there. The promo feud between him and MJF is there too, so you're writing that down. I think the next thing you're probably looking at, though, is him and Bryan Danielson main event a pay-per-view in a whatever kind of match, right? The problem is, it seems like Bryan Danielson now and Jon Moxley are a tag team, and they're just going to run up and down the tag division. So I don't really know. I think what I would do if I was booking CM Punk, I would have him hang out just for a couple weeks, and then I don't know. Because he beat Powerhouse Hobbs. Because I was going to say maybe he kidnaps Hook and him and Hook just run off to be, he's in a weird spot. He is in a very weird spot.
So CM Punk is, the character and his status and his position in the company lends easily to the face versus face. I'm going to give you a shot, kid, and I need to test myself. Let's get Keith Lee and CM Punk. CM Punk's got to try to overcome.
Well, I think CM Punk, whatever he does.
Right?
Yeah. But I think whatever he does, I think he needs to go heel. I think we're done with the CM Punk babyface world tour. Fuck that shit. The next thing he needs to do is Kansas City cunt punt whoever his next feud is with. Now, that could be Keith Lee. That could be. He says he's friends with Sting, right?
CM
but
Punk
he already
versus
did.
Sting would be a draw.
Oh, yeah,
People
but they
talk
already
about
did the Darby Allin thing. You know what I mean? Like that. I don't know if we go so back to having those two next to each other. Yeah, this is hard.
Well, you could get CM Punk away from Darby Allin, or Sting away from Darby Allin, but apparently they're never going to do that.
You know what? Here you go. This is what I'm doing in a short-term feud, not to the next pay-per-view, but just for the next couple weeks till we let other things fall where they need to go. I'm having CM Punk actually stay babyface. Again, this is just a stopgap. And it's him and all ego Ethan Page. And then you get Dan Lambert and CM Punk to do their promo battle. And then ego can get in there as well. That's what I would do.
What if you get CM Punk vying for the TNT Championship against Scorpio Sky?
Yeah, something. Yeah. Dan Lambert and CM Punk, I think, will have a lot of fun being polar opposites in every part of their life. Age, religion, politics. And that would be great.
Back on the Scorpio Sky thing.
Okay.
Talking with a friend offline about this, he said, aren't they pushing the wrong half of Men of the Year in this scenario? Like, everything they want Scorpio Sky to be, Ethan Page is.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're 100% right. I just think, I don't know. Scorpio Sky is an AEW original. He was one half of the very first AEW Tag Team Champions.
He's the only one to hold the TNT title on a Tag Team Championship.
Right. So there's something about him that is backstage that isn't translating to us.
Yeah, but he must be the nicest guy. Like, everybody loves him. We've talked about this where, who have we said this about too? Recently? Yeah, it's besides the point, it'll come to me. But like we said, like, clearly must be the nicest guy in the back. But like, and everybody's like, this is the guy, right? Do the thing. And you put him out on TV and everybody's like, nah, he ain't the guy.
Right.
They're like, no, but he is. I think Big E. I think maybe we likened to before like this, where probably solid dude, probably everybody loves him, probably helps everybody, probably give the shirt off his back, is an athlete, is able to do all the things, but gets out there and he's like, smile! And everybody's like, yeah, fuck out of here, man.
Yeah, I'm okay.
You know?
I'm all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would do CM Punk, American Top Team stuff, especially with the American Top Team stuff, because then you can get into the MMA thing. Dan Lambert could say, you would have won those fights if you didn't go with Duke Rufus and you came with me. You would have won those fights if you trained with Paige Van Zant and not,
you could have been an athlete like Ethan Page.
Right.
And then you'd have been like, Ethan Page, like, he's like, if you want me to fight Ethan Page, I'll fight him right now. Beat his little ass. And then they, what I mean?
And CM Punk would love that, because then you could do a little bit more of the MMA stuff. You get his Anthony Pettis, Bilal Muhammad, and Duke Rufus to show up, and then you're doing that whole stuff. And then the like MMA pro wrestling nerds like me were like, oh, that's so cool. Yeah, that's what I do. There you go. Dan Lambert versus CM Punk with essentially
Lambert,
Ethan
CM Punk
Page
promos.
All right.
That's worth the price of admission. Right
that's
there.
A shoot. That's not like MJF.
Well, they're going to shoot.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot of shooting.
Yeah.
And
it will get political, and they will get testy about it.
All you need to know about the promo battle between these two is that CM Punk wore a pro-trans t-shirt in the state of Texas when he made a save during the end of an AEW Dynamite episode, and Dan Lambert hosted Donald Trump at American Top Team when Donald Trump was running for president. So that's all you need to know about these polar opposites. I want it. Let me get into it. I know, I'm excited. I booked it. There it is. Yes.
All right, and so after that, we got the AEW Women's Championship, new title belt. Dr. Britt Baker defeats Thunder Rosa, this one was a little bit surprising to me, but I think you called this, didn't you?
Yes, because next week is a steel cage match. I thought it was going to be a gimmick. It made sense once it was all outside shenanigans that helped Britt Baker. So next week, on the 1-year anniversary show of their Lights Out match, now they're going to go into a steel cage. Huh? Woo! Oh, I love it. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Thunder Rosa.
Now, this match in particular stumbled a little here and there.
It was fine. This felt like AEW standard is so high, right? They are at a level right now that is second to none. This felt like a very competent WWE pay-per-view match. It felt like a paint by numbers WWE Women's Championship match, which, look, if this was on SummerSlam, we'd be like, that was great. That was fine. That was fun. But when you're putting that match with the dog collar match, with Bryan Danielson and John Moxley and William Regal showing up, like, it just felt a little bit underwhelming for being a title match. But to get us to St. Patrick's Day Slam, ooh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
If we just
the build up for that.
And if we just do every year, Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker fight each other at St. Patrick's Day Slam, like that just becomes a tradition, and they're just a gimmick match every year. Fucking sign me up. That's what you do. That's what you do.
I love it.
Love it.
All right. After that, we got Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson, and I think I want to point out Bryan Danielson was like, "Don't be surprised if you're the only one that bleeds," and I don't think Bryan Danielson was bleeding in that.
Yeah, I can't recall. If it was, it wasn't pronounced.
Wasn't as pronounced as Moxley. And then we get the William Regal shows, which I think we kind of understood was going to happen at some point. I didn't know if we'd see it on screen. This is an interesting angle I wouldn't have considered. And so I'm excited for this. And Dynamite expanded it further, but this was fun.
Now, look.
He sucked the shit out of them guys.
Yes. And William Regal on Revolution was the William Regal I want. Not a lot of bells and whistles. You're in there, you get your shit in, you're out of there. On Dynamite, a little bit long-winded. And I understand. He legitimately cried thinking about what Tony Schiavone meant to him, because apparently, and again, I found this out on Twitter, Tony Schiavone was like the first one to help him with promos when he came over to America. So they have a real connection, and it meant a lot to Tony Schiavone. That's all great. We have a 2-hour show. We've got 1,500 stories. Let's fucking tighten this shit up. Not trying to be mean, but as a viewer.
Well, and it didn't come across as the whole angle with Moxley and Danielson has been this like stone cold killers. And in walks Regal, who we know to be that stone cold killer when he was a wrestler. And then he's all in his feels, right? About Tony Schiavone looking like he's wearing his dad's suit.
That had nothing to do with who these now 3-man, faction is,
talking
right?
about his wife and how he's going to die soon. I was like, this is not leading into the feel.
Right. And then the other thing, and no offense to him at all, because again, people are different with circumstances, but you can't be like, oh, this old man ain't got much time when 63-year-old Sting is jumping off the balcony through 6 tables. Like, you can, bud. You can do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I understand. So here's where I'll take the pin out of what I was going to say earlier. This is where you get William Regal refocused, and he apologized for going long and all this stuff. So it looks like maybe next week he's going to get refocused into like, these are 3 badasses and we're going to fucking kill people. This is where the House of Black just goes over and is like, oh, Moxley and Danielson, you guys are such good friends. We don't think so. And Regal, you've overcame all your demons, not in this household. And you just get those House of Black guys with Aleister Black being the catalyst here, just infusing the dissension and the like, oh, what the fuck? Do I trust this guy kind of stuff? And that's the feud. House of Black versus whatever we're calling this group.
Well, and this group with Regal, how this needs to be is like Danielson and Moxley, as we said, are like testing the limits of like violence and pain and hurt on people. And William Regal needs to be making them a little bit uncomfortable with how much he's trying to push them into that. Like, lean harder into it. You know what I mean? Like, rip his eyeball out. You know what I mean? They need to be like, chill, bro. Fuck. Right? Like, dude, I didn't know I wasn't signed up to kill people.
Well, but playing into, because eventually I think they are become, this well-oiled machine that I think will at least have the tag team championships once, right? But to get there, I think we need to test the limits of like, because William Regal was like, everything that I should have been is Bryan Danielson, but everything that I am is Jon Moxley. And so have him in these situations where he's like, obviously, Moxley would have done this for you. Like, put him in this like middleman thing where then Moxley and Danielson are like, but you're my father figure. He's
the
like,
most dysfunctional marriage counselor ever.
Yeah, exactly. And now they're like, no, Regal, you're my mentor. I've known you 10 years longer. And then Moxley's like, we got blacked out in 2012. That's a night we'll always remember.
Stop fighting on the outside and focus in the in-ring. You'd be like, yeah, I told you that. I told him to fucking gouge his eye out on the side of the ring.
Yeah. And so I think the House of Black being the little devil on the shoulder would be just a perfect way to get them to the well-oiled machine killing everyone in their wake. Yeah. So that's all I thought.
All right.
Anyway.
Well, and after that on Revolution, we got the match you said was probably should have been on the pre-show. It's the AHFO in their final match versus Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, and Sting. The highlight of this is Sting doing the jump through the 3 tables.
It's crazy.
Oh,
crazy.
Man. And
by the way,
and credit to Sting, man. I've over the 8 years of this podcast, I have said all sorts of things about Sting and what I think he is, and you know what I mean, like how I viewed him. But like, man, him coming back to AEW, he has put forth every bit of effort, and then some that I never would have been like, damn, Sting, you really ought to do. You know what I mean? Like, if he took the easy road, it would have been like, of course, Sting, you're 69 years old or whatever the fuck you are, like. Yeah, you do the fucking elbow in the corner and you roll the guy up and you're out. Like, I totally would have got that. But, man, he has done everything but that.
Yeah, he has been so giving in every regard. Again, the thing that I think about when I think about the Sting run in AEW is just that that little segment with Orange Cassidy, I keep going back to that because so many legends. It's like Mick Foley and Sting. Those are the only two legends that would play well with Orange Cassidy as far as like doing his kind of
Jericho
shtick.
even said he was like, I totally didn't get it. I was like, fuck this guy. And then somebody like
Right.
made me see, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Now I want to work with him, right? We've heard
But
that a
even
couple times about Orange Cassidy.
But even then, Jericho was doing his gimmick with Orange Cassidy as his foil, right? Yeah, so Sting is just so open to just trying new things, doing cinematic matches, doing hardcore street fight matches like he did at Revolution. I'm so, throughout this 8 years, you've known where I stood with Sting. I love that motherfucker. You give me Stinger Splash, I'll go home happy 10 times out of 10. So that's all I need.
10 times out of 9 even.
I have to tell you what, every single time. But yeah, I like what he's doing. Now, with that being said, let's pump the brakes a little bit, because let's break kayfabe here for a second. He is 63 years old, right? Like, I don't want something, and we've seen it, right?
We don't want to see Sting die on pay-per-view because he took a bad bump.
Well, we saw it almost, right? When he faced Seth Rollins. Like, it's not as if we haven't seen, like, he's not invincible, where it's just he's running through, oh my God, he's ageless. Like, we've seen him stumble. So let's just rein it back in. Have Darby do that shit. Apparently he has a death wish. Fucking let him do it, right? So it's just, let's bring Sting back.
He's a sadist.
It seems that way. Which is so crazy because Sting is such a, read his Players Tribune article, by the way. Very good. In depth, talks about how he didn't have confidence in himself and then he regained it through AEW and Darby and all this stuff. Fantastic article. But yeah, Sting, I loved it. It was the moment of the match for that 6-man tag, but I don't want it again, right? Like, just, okay, come back. Come back to me a little bit, because it was fine. But again, the 6-man tag served nothing, right? It was just a whatever.
Yeah. Oh,
but
let's backtrack for one quick. Finish your thought and then we'll backtrack.
Well, I was gonna say, but on Dynamite, we got what this was really for, because the AHFO, or whatever the fuck they're called, lost the match. Matt Hardy took the pin. Matt Hardy gets a thumbs down vote of confidence. Yeah. And then
and so we're bouncing back and forth a little bit between Dynamite and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
so
fine.
Maybe we'll hit some final clips, but that great where that story would lead to, right? With the Hardy family office, right? Like, it gets stolen out from underneath them with Andrade. He made a bad business deal, and now the guy's taking his family, basically, right? Like, okay. Mm-hmm. But it seemed like that was rushed, because now they're like, okay, we got Jeff Hardy now, right? All of a sudden it was like, Matt Hardy's in street clothes again. He's suddenly seen the error of his ways, and it's all like, you didn't give me any of this, like, leading up to this. You know what I mean? Like, it was just last night he had an epiphany.
Yeah, well, that was the second time they kind of rushed something, I thought, that made sense when you write it down, but execution, it did not happen well. Because, yeah, Matt Hardy was doing some of the stuff with Private Party where he was upset that they were losing. He ran into the crowd. They called it erratic behavior, alluding to the Jeff Hardy ending in WWE and all of that stuff. But yeah, it was, he lost the match. He kept saying, when I dress up, I act like an asshole, like you. And
which is a good line. Like, you know what I mean? When I get in a suit, all of a sudden I start becoming an asshole. Right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And you're an asshole in a suit right now.
Yeah.
And so I got that, but yeah, it felt like we could have done a couple more teases of Matt Hardy gets pushed out of his own family office.
Well, and so they like, all right, Andrade and his guy give the thumbs down. He thinks Private Party's giving the thumbs up. Nobody asked Butcher and the Blade for their opinion. Like, they were just...
And
like, because they could have swung it the other way without Private Party needing to swing it the other way.
Right, and where was Bunny?
Where was the Bunny? Isn't there more people, too, in this thing?
Oh, the THQ or whatever the fuck they're called. I think that's a video game thing, but, they weren't there. Yeah. Penelope Ford, isn't she kind of in this as well? Because she's friends with the Bunny.
The Butcher Blade, like, they were just standing there, like, nobody even looked over to see where their thumbs were. Just up their asses, I guess.
Well, and that's something that maybe needs to be addressed sooner rather than later, is like, this is the 8th faction that Butcher and the Blade have been in, because they were with Pac or something, right? Then they were with Eddie.
Well, let's just let them be a tag team, and like,
that's
they can take on Jungle Express right now. First of all, the Butcher...
Jurassic Express.
Yeah, Jurassic Express. What'd I say?
Jungle, but it's fine.
Jungle Express. Yeah, same thing. Same fucking thing, guy. Same.
Yeah.
The Butcher has got himself yoked out. Oh, like, remember when he first showed up, he looked like a fat old dude. And now he's fucking rocked out, looking more like the Blade. Like, get these guys going.
Yeah. I just think, though, the tossing them around into, they're now with Eddie, and now they're with Penta, and now they're with
they haven't had
Matt
a chance
Hardy,
to be their own thing. Like, they've always been an add-on to something, right? Like, they haven't had a chance to really shine.
Unless that's their thing, where if you hire us, we will beat up whoever you want. I'm okay with that, right?
Or your
you
Butcher and Blade. We'll take care of your dirty work.
But then that doesn't mean we're with you, every week and stuff. We're just there when needed, right? You pay us for a service on Wednesday night or Saturday night or Sunday night,
Or let's get them, like, let's not have Brody King and Malachi Black be the tag team. Let's get them in the House of Black and be the tag team for House of Black.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love
fits.
that. Now it totally fits. More than Wesley Matthews or Buddy, whatever the fuck his name is. How am I going to be scared of a guy named fucking Buddy, by the way? Yeah. Fuck out of here. Anyhow.
Yeah.
Criticism, that's me splitting hairs. Let's talk about Jeff Hardy, though. The funniest thing, I think, from the whole thing is his fucking brother's getting his ass kicked. His brother's getting his ass kicked, and he can still do the
Well, and I noticed that live. I was like, dude, why are you fucking thrusting? And he knew it too. He was like, oh shit, I gotta get the fucking thrust in real quick. Like, you got it, all right, I'm running. Like, he was like, that told me, I was like, man, you're so WWE trained that you're like Hogan must pose, that you're like, you have to do the dance when you come out. That, like, it was like he thought for a second he was gonna get in trouble if he didn't do the dance. Is what it felt like
so
to me.
Funny. Yeah, it was so funny.
Let's go to Devil Vamp. He says,
yeah, let's do it.
He says, is it just me, or do I still care, or do I still don't care about the Hardy Boys? I used to dress like them when I was younger, but now I just think, who cares? Not me. Hashtag tweet the table. And you're not the only one. We have never been a Hardy Boys loving team.
And I think the problem now, unfortunately, for even I think if I was a Hardy fan, is they've already done this, right? They made the surprise at WrestleMania a few years back. Oh my God, it's so cool. Then they do the, reunion tour in WWE, and it feels like, so now we're just going to do it again, but now in AEW? I don't know. It just doesn't feel like I want to see it because I've already seen it. No offense to them at all. I would have rather him come back as Nero and then done the, like, lights out. Because this is what you should have done, in my opinion. You're doing the beat up of Matt Hardy, lights out. Now, they can make it work because Matt Hardy can figure it out. Lights out, lights come back on. Matt Hardy standing on the second turnbuckle doing delete. Then you have the fucking fun Hardy Boy music. Then Jeff Hardy can do the da 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 da, and he's Nero. And then it's the Broken Family.
The whole thing is like, I mean, as I was thinking this thought just now, it kind of hit me, but I was like, you need, this is Andrade, and now he's taking his faction, and now Jeff Hardy makes the save. It's like, you needed a heel tag team to go against. And I understand, like, Private Party's probably going to fill that role for this first thing, but that's underwhelming. Like, again, I know they really want to get them Private Party boys over, but, like, man, they're not hitting it either. And I just, like, they could have been the heel tag team taking on Jurassic Express next.
Right.
They could have been the face team going up against the heel Young Bucks. Or, you know what I mean? Like, it just...
But I think that would have been more original, is if you introduce Jeff Hardy and you say, like, hey, we've already done the, oh, it's so great to see you stuff. We're going to give you Jeff Hardy as the heel of the, like, you're going to hate him by the end of this feud. That's what is more original.
So again, Jurassic Express. You've got tag team champions. Like, Matt Hardy's like...
who have nothing to do.
You know what I mean?
They're not doing
he's like,
anything.
listen, like, he could have heel dumped the Hardy family office. You know what I mean? And then just been like, I got to go for bigger prize. And, he bumps into Christian, and Christian's like, watch it, dick face, and he's like, I know what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? And then he calls on fucking Thrusty.
Brother. Now, here's the scariest thing of this whole thing.
Thrusty
that I wanted to talk to you about specifically. Tim, you know what's fucking coming. Do you know what's fucking coming?
No, I don't know what's coming. What are you talking about?
the worst thing in pro wrestling? Willow! That motherfucker is going to show up in AEW.
No, he is. Oh.
I hate that. It's
Willow
so stupid.
Is going to show up in
It's
a
gonna
House
be
of Black
bad.
segment. That's it. They're going to be going against Kings of the Black Throne. And Willow is going to make an appearance. And nerds are going to rejoice.
No, they're not. The nerds are going to reject him and be like, just go back to wearing the fishnets. And he's like, but this is my love child. This is what I've always wanted to do. Check out my
Put your
umbrella.
reflective belt on and fucking do the fishnets again and thrust your pelvis.
Yeah. Oh, God. It's going to be so... I'm already on step 12. Yeah. I'm already on step 12 of his run in AEW, but I just don't want to get there. But it's going to happen. Willow. Fuck.
All right, so back to Revolution. The AEW World Championship match. Hangman Adam Page defeats Adam Cole, baby. Yeah, I mean...
Shout out to Hangman for wearing the rainbow colors in the state of Florida when they passed that bullshit legislation. Love Hangman Adam Page. He is the man. He will always be the man. I love what he did to Kane, or Glenn Jacobs, because Kane's a character. But I loved what he did to Glenn Jacobs. He's the fucking coolest guy in pro wrestling. I love him. He's my best friend. Same with Eddie Kingston. Now give him something to do, because he beats up Dante Martin and then gives him the handshake. Adam Cole says, I'm not done with you yet. We're going to do a 6-man tag. Here's the swerve, I think. I put this on, again, on our Twitter during Dynamite, live on Wednesday night when we do live tweets. I think it's not going to be Redragon or the Young Bucks, because Adam Cole does the thing where...
Well, yeah, he did say, I wasn't picking you, but he also didn't say, like, I picked them, did he? Am I remembering?
I don't think so. I think he said, hey, Redragon, let's go.
Yeah.
I think.
Right. Yeah, I'd have to watch that
Now-
back, but I think that's what struck me was like, yeah, he said it wasn't you, but he didn't say it was them, because even then they got the flex on him, like, sorry guys.
Right. Now-
but like, it ain't you.
Well, now we go backstage. We're talking to Dark Order. Dark Order runs into Hangman, and then Hangman apologizes because during this main event match with Adam Cole, he pushes Alex Reynolds into Red Wagon. That starts a feud, or that starts a fight. They go off, and so he apologized for losing his cool. Then John Silver's like, well, who are you going to pick from the Dark Order? And Hangman was like, well, so I already ran into Jurassic Express. They kind of said that they were cool with it because they don't like those teams because they fought them at Revolution. So I kind of picked them. So I think you do Hangman, Jurassic Express versus Adam Cole and John Silver and Alex Reynolds.
Man, you think we're ready for a heel turn on the Dark Order now?
Yeah, what else are they going to do? They can't be lovable forever. Now, they can be lovable idiot heels, right?
Yeah.
But
I worry about their longevity to stay together as a team.
that's okay. Then
Yeah, I mean, that's okay too.
it's
got to go.
Maybe
I know we
it's
have an
10.
affinity towards it because of the death of John Huber, and that is sad, and it's something that, warms our hearts when we see them and whatnot. But that's also probably not great for their career, I guess, individually, any of them.
Well, and what you could do is, so let's go down this path for just a moment. So it's Adam Cole, and let's don't say it's John Silver, because I feel like John Silver will be the last one to turn, right? Because he's the most lovable of the group, right? So let's
10.
say it's 10 and Alex Reynolds, because Alex Reynolds got pushed.
Yeah.
So he already has the, because he didn't say, oh, man, it's cool in that backstage promo. He kind of gave him a side eye, right?
It's 10 because he's believable in any fight.
Well, and he's like,
their
hey.
horse.
Well, and he's also like, hey, we fought before, and, you've never actually had my back. I've always had yours, right? That could be his whole angle. So you turn Dark Order heel, right? And eventually Hangman overcomes the heel Dark Order. You have them disband, but AEW's not going away in 6 months. So 2 years from now,
they can be reformed.
They can come back for one night
they
only
can be
on
reformed
Halloween.
in 7 years when -1 reforms it.
Exactly.
He's going to be a wrestler there in AEW if they're still around when he turns.
Oh, for sure.
18, yeah.
But you could always have them come back on a Halloween night, or you could have them come back on a special anniversary show of the start of AEW. So it's not like you could never do Dark
But they
Order.
did circle back to that again for a reason, right? That wasn't a mistake where now Hangman's also like kind of like, oh, yeah, guys, love to hang out, but, this other party you guys aren't invited to is happening over here and, got to go, right? And they got away from that, but they went back to it. And that's not happenstance, right? They did that purposely. So, yeah, I think you might be right.
Now, what if we're wrong? It is Redragon and Adam Cole versus Hangman and Jurassic Express, but Dark Order cost Hangman the match. Like, you fucking picked the dinosaur? Fuck that guy. He's 650,000 years old.
Yeah. So John Silver would be like, you picked them like Jungle Boy's only like 5'7". They'll be like, you're shorter than he is. He'd be like, shut up. I've got bigger arms.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's going to be interesting. Next week's St. Patrick's Day Smash or whatever the fuck it's called, I'm into already. You got the 6-man tag with some intrigue. You got the steel cage match, Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker for the women's championship, which, by the way, new AEW women's championship belt.
Yeah, it looks good.
Looks great.
Yeah,
looks
way
great.
better.
Finally
way
looks
better.
like a good title. Yeah. Because the other one was just too small. Looked like an old NWA belt.
Yeah.
Definitely love how it looks now.
Look, even worse than that, like prior to like the interview, like when they had those like, like early time where it looked like they sewed on a doily onto a damn belt.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, a lot of really fun things to look forward to. By the way, the thing that we didn't even mention, just to keep your interest, like, hey, I'm not dead, motherfuckers. In the pre-show, we had Kenny Omega's music hit, and Don Callis comes out.
Callis. God, he's so good.
But so that's just
Callis.
So that's just hey, in case you guys fucking forgot who the real man is around here, Kenny Omega's coming back sooner rather than later. Where does he come in?
Don Callis is another one where I'm like, hey, even if we got rid of the Don Callis Kenny Omega connection, like we need Don Callis as a manager. Like he's so. Can you imagine Don Callis and Dan Lambert going at it?
Oh my
or Don
God.
Callis and CM Punk or
oh yeah, it's gonna be great.
MJF, Don Callis.
Yeah, yeah, Don Callis fits with anyone. But I like that Kenny Omega, his presence, even though he wasn't there, it was still like, hey, I'm still here. I'm coming back, and I'm coming back with a vengeance. So I think that has something to do with the 6-man tag. I think Kenny Omega, maybe not next week, but will come back and like, so Adam Cole keeps losing. What the fuck's up with that? This is the Bullet Club. We don't lose.
For a few months, and you let Adam Cole in the place?
Or like you let him lead, and he isn't. I told you that the Young Bucks were going to be the
bring
leaders.
His fucking friends with him,
and they weren't Bullet Club. Fuck those guys, And then that's when you can get the mercenary come back, Jay White, have Jay White, Kenny Omega on a Dynamite, and then it eventually leads to whatever the pay-per-view is: Adam Cole, Kenny Omega. There you go.
Not bad.
I love it.
But that was Revolution, man. I thought this card was great. I loved it.
Oh, fantastic.
I loved it all.
Here's a quick question for you, though. And maybe you don't know, but I felt like when we announced that AEW was doing pay-per-views, it was always going to be on a Saturday unless there was a holiday on a Monday. Motherfucker, there was no holiday this Monday. Like, why did we do this pay-per-view on a Sunday night?
Yeah, I don't know what that was about. Maybe they weren't getting the numbers they wanted.
Well, now the Saturday night did have a UFC fight. It was Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington. Maybe that was it, but still, it's like,
maybe they were using the same provider, and that person was like, "We don't want to compete against ourselves."
Yeah, but it's just like, I want you guys on Saturday. Saturday's where you should be. I like
the Saturday better.
Love it on Saturday.
Well, especially since if it's going to go to 11,
right?
Central Time,
I'm old.
True Time Zone.
Yeah, I'm old. I want to go to bed at a good time.
Yeah,
so
Tom's
what
old.
The fuck, Jesus, tell you what.
So, I know we bounced around the Dynamite. Was there anything we didn't touch on that we needed to hit with Dynamite before we get out of here and let these folks have their time back?
Yeah, let's take a look. Let's see here. We got some good things going on. Not really. I think the only thing...
Yeah, I think we kind of touched the major storyline. Oh, we do have one tweet the table about it. And let's...
Okay.
It's Devil Vamp Against, the last one we got. And he says, Tony Khan to the AEW roster. Quote, today is the final day for all factions. We start fresh. Hashtag tweet the table. And yeah, that does feel like he was like, reset.
Yeah, it felt like, and I don't know what they view as their WrestleMania, but it felt like we did WrestleMania, air quotes, on Sunday night, and then this was the Dynamite after WrestleMania, and it was, we're breaking up the inner circle, we're fucking having Sammy Guevara drop the title, Wardlow's leaving MJF, we're fucking just going crazy. Oh, that was the other thing.
Fired Tully Blanchard.
That's the thing I was telling you about. So the other thing that was, I lost my train of thought there for a second. We rushed the Matt Hardy thing, but we also rushed the FTR.
Yeah. They hadn't had any sort of discrepancies between each other. And then the moment he's talking about family, and he's like, fuck your family. And he's like, the other guy's like, hey, fuck his family. Fuck you. You're fired.
Which would make sense.
Sure.
I mean, it would make sense if I was like, hey, Tim, I don't fucking like your kids. And you'd be like, all right, fucking the show. Like, we're done with the show.
Right,
like,
yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Right.
However, I think where we're going, because we just purchased Ring of Honor, and I'm talking as if I'm an AEW, stakeholder.
Yeah.
But you know where we're going now. FTR versus the Briscoes, because Ring of Honor's last show had FTR call out the Briscoes.
Yeah,
now,
why would Tully need to be away from that? That's weird. Is Tully maybe taking some time off? Maybe not gonna be around.
Or he just says, like, that's how we introduce them, right? Like, hey, you guys, maybe they're doing an FTR babyface turn, right? Where it's like, FTR cares about family, I care about championships. And you know who else cares about championships? These dirty motherfuckers. You got them walking around,
fucking chicken farmers from
hey, boy, I tell you what. I got my kissing cousin
Briscoes
wife over
are great,
here.
Man.
Oh,
I tell you what,
fantastic.
I mark the fuck out when I get a good Briscoes appearance.
Oh, and they are, again,
you know another folks, team if we walked around some of the lower numbered streets in the KC Mo area, or maybe let's roll around Independence. Maybe Independence is a good. We're gonna see some Briscoe brothers.
I went to school with some Briscoes.
Let's take a trip to Belton, Missouri.
Trust me,
it's just so believable. It's so believable.
I played on plenty of football teams for the first 2 weeks before they quit with 1,000 Briscoe brothers in high school. You know what I mean?
It's like a Dudley level amount of Briscoes.
Yeah, but then things got too hard, and they had other interests that didn't deal with football, so they were gone. But yeah, always. I've seen
kind of
millions
folks that
of
played
Briscoes.
football just because it was legalized to hit people.
Yeah, but then didn't want to stay committed because they got to fucking smoke weed instead of coming to second practice
thing. I just want to show up and hit motherfuckers.
Exactly. So I think that's what Tully's going to do, is say, I found a team who does care about championships, and I think they're going to come in as the heels, and we may do an FTR babyface turn.
You guys talk about family. You guys talk about, well, I'll show you what real family looks like. You guys consider yourself brothers. You don't know what real family is. Which could lead to a little bit more dissension, because as Wardlow says, he's out of the Pinnacle. MJF can be like, hey, FTR, you got to care about number one, and then they can keep playing the, like, we care about our daughters and sons or whatever. Pinnacle, we haven't even heard you mention us for fucking 4 months, dude. Piss off.
And didn't you, like, sell us off to Andrade? You don't give a shit about us.
All you cared about was Wardlow, and look, we wouldn't have done you dirty at the thing, but you never asked us, so fuck you. Yeah.
Exactly. And so then, there you go. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a babyface.
Right off in their truck. American flag.
Ugh. But they're not that way, I don't think.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think they might.
I don't think so. No, they know too many people who aren't, that I don't think they are.
Maybe
like they're good friends with Renee Young and CM Punk,
okay.
and
I don't know. Yeah, maybe they're not. They're from that area, right? Where the ratio.
But so are we. Hey, but so are we.
So, Jesus. Yeah.
So are we. You know what I mean?
Are we.
So.
Yeah, so are we. Hey, man, this was great. I love this week of wrestling. The Revolution, the Dynamite, were home runs, A+ shows. Loved it with few things to complain about. Just like this show. Just like the Spanish Announce Table.
I will say, though, before we wrap up, fuck that crowd wherever they were at Dynamite. That crowd was weird as shit. They made me feel awkward. Revolution was off the charts.
Yeah, it was awesome.
They were so weird and quiet, and then cheering for weird things. Yeah. Anyhow, that was just last tangent.
But you heard everything we want to talk about. You also heard from some of the Table Nation with the hashtag #TweetTheTable. We encourage you to do the same thing, or shoot us an email, tableshow@gmail.com. Check out our website, SpanishAnnounceTable.net. And, we're going to get out here and go fight some forklift drivers.
The Spanish Announce Table.